So with all that said, we're gathered here to talk about tonight's featured show. This month it is titled Just Wood, Mostly. And the two gentlemen whose work is included here is our own Robert L. who's standing here next to me, and guest artist Tom Wells. So now let's hear what they have to say. You've heard enough from me.
Thank you, everybody. Excuse me. It's always a pleasure to be at Archway. Archway, I don't know, I hope you all know, is an extremely special place because it's a gallery like no other. And we've been here for 50 years. And you have to remember that this is an artist-owned gallery. So that means every time you come to this gallery, you'll talk to an artist. And he'll be able to give you clues to his own artwork or the artwork that's hanging there or whatever. And you also have to remember that when you buy a piece of artwork in here, you're already getting it at a 50% discount because we don't mark up things like other galleries. So you will get a great deal on any art you buy. And the reason tonight the Just Wood Mostly stuff is this is really my roots where I come from is woodworking. I did that when I started when I was a kid, and I did it for the first probably 15, 20 years of my life. So basically that's where I come from. But the reason I asked Tom here is because he's a real woodworker. He makes furniture, and he's a mortise and tenon man. If you don't know what that is, ask Tom after the fact. He'll tell you about it. But I'm a pattern maker by trade, and we don't really use ordinary things. What we usually use is a bandsaw and a big disc sander, and that's what we use. And Tom doesn't come from that world. He comes from a furniture world. So I'm going to let Tom talk to you for a minute, and then I'm going to come back and tell you some more about what's going on my end of the room. So here's Tom Wells talking about his furniture, and if you don't buy some of his furniture tonight, you're missing out because it's going to be gone. So I'm warning you right now. You got one last chance. There's 2 pieces left, and so if you jump on it, you might get them. So hang in there. So I'm going to turn over to Tom, and Tom's a nice guy. If you buy his piece, he might make another one. So here he is, Tom Wells.
That's a pretty hard introduction to live up to. I will say that I am what I was told tonight, a rarity as a 10-fingered woodworker. so I keep that in my mind. First of all, I want to thank, of course, all of you for coming. It's very important that Archway gets the support that you see here tonight. It is an extremely unique, as you've heard previously, a unique opportunity in Houston. I am not a member, but I married a member. And Cookie, are you here somewhere? Just sort of raise your hand. That is my muse and my inspiration. Okay, and she was so kind to allow me to share her spotlight, I think, 4 previous events at this location. And this year, Robert was so kind to give me the opportunity to share his spotlight here, because he is the artist. What I want to say, more of a Renaissance man. Not only does he work in wood, but he is glass and metal, Renaissance man. So as far as my work goes, I have this opportunity to build the things I like to build as opposed to perhaps what others like me to build for them. I love to work in the live edge area, as you might see from these pieces. It's sort of a way of incorporating nature into a finite element that you can actually enjoy in your home. It used to be that I'd go to a wood supplier and they'd say, get that stuff out of here. These days I have to walk in and you really want that much for that piece of junk? So live edge has become very popular, and I hope that I can continue to provide it as a forum for people to also enjoy. I think if there are any questions, I'd probably rather answer questions than talk about stuff you may not be interested in. So if there are, if not, I'm going to hand this back to Robert.
Well, I have a question that I thought we would wait till the end.
Actually, what would be kind of nice is if when we're walking around here amongst one another, if you just collar one of us, whichever, and ask us a question. It's easier that way, and we don't take up a lot of people's time.
And I do want to thank you personally for giving me the
Oh, well,
opportunity.
it was a pleasure because I enjoy Tom's work, even though I don't enjoy the price, but that's okay. But anyway, if you don't enjoy the price, you're in trouble. Okay, guys, I'm going to explain a little bit about my work. Most of my work comes from off the top of my head. You see a little race car over here. I'm not sure why I built that race car, but I enjoyed it, and so those things all just pop out of my head. I just make a sketch and do it. As far as the pepper mills and the music boxes and all that kind of stuff, those are just kind of standard things. And a lot of these designs that you see in there are designs that I've done before. Some of them go back 50 years. Clocks and things. The first clock I ever did in a woodworking clock was we used to have a group called the Houston Craftsmen's Guild, and in those days the painters and the makers didn't go together. So what happened, we had the weavers and the woodworkers and the jewelry makers and all those people. They were all in a separate guild, and you didn't mix the two. Even today, when I was in North Carolina, that walnut chair you see over there, I learned to make last year. And a matter of fact, a lot of these pieces you see, I just learned how to do, because it's a new technique that I haven't done before, and I'm a firm believer in growing and doing and whatever. And I was several days in Asheville, North Carolina, and they have a guild place there. But in their guild, they only have painters. And I told them I was in a guild that was 50 years old. I said, oh, well, our guild is 30 years old, but there's nobody in there but painters. If you want to see somebody else, they have another guild on the other side of town where they have the jewelry makers and the potters and the woodworkers and all those kind of things. So that's kind of the way it was been when I first started. The reason I wasn't a fine arts person is because they didn't let you in the fine arts. You weren't a fine arts person. You were something else. But I ended up making jewelry for 30 years because I could sell my stuff and I couldn't get it in the shows. I never got in any shows. So I just said, well, you know what. Anyway, neither here nor there. If you got any questions, oh, by the way, don't leave. I had a birthday last week, and I got all kinds of cake over there. So be sure and get a piece of cake. So anyway, I thank you all for coming. Such a great crowd, and so many old friends. It's just amazing to see all these friends. And I thank you so much. And I thank Tom for his great work, which he always does. And I was so pleased to have him in the show with me. And like I said, you better buy those 2 pieces, okay? I'm telling you right now. Okay, that's it. And I'm going to sign off, and we're going to have birthday cake. And I do appreciate your friendship and coming to the show. And thank you so much. Archway is such a special place.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.